Hey guys, Luke from Holistic Survival School here. Hey, there's a beautiful cave here. I'm in one of my favorite places in the world. Let's make some fire with some sticks. This is hand drill, master's level. Let's do it. So today I'm going to share with you 4 major tips that I've really found to be useful in helping teach people how to hand drill. Okay, hand drill, there's this misconception. People think this is you need to be like a giant dude to hand drill. I'm going to show you a few techniques to make it easy and smooth. First tip, first thing we want to talk about. So when we're talking about hand drill, as I said before, it's not a power thing, it's not a muscle thing, it's a smooth, relaxed form thing. Once you get the form down, everything else is going to follow, okay? So a few of the tips that I'd like to share. Number 1 is our body position, okay? So yes, we want to be generating down pressure as we're spinning this spindle, okay? But I don't want to have to rely on my muscles as much as my body weight. If I can get my body weight doing the work, it makes my life easier. So what we want to do is focus on my arms kind of being locked into my body, okay? Kind of like I'm doing the chicken dance here. Lock your arms in and kind of focus on this 90-degree angle here, okay? Because what happens is a lot of times when people start hand drilling, they let their arms go down, but their body doesn't follow. And what happens is I lose this 90 degrees, and it's actually really hard to spin this spindle with my arms straight like this. So what happens is what we can do if we lock these arms in, we maintain this 90 degrees, my body follows as I go down the spindle. And that makes my body do all the work, all the down pressure, as opposed to my muscles. Okay? So go down with your hands. Don't stay up here and let your hands go down. All right? That's tip number 1. Tip number 2. Long hands. All right? If we're trying to hand drill, or even bow drill, we don't want to do these little tiny, right, movements. That's a lot of effort for not a lot of rotation, okay? So what we want to do instead is we want to focus on the longest part of our hand, or hands, which is from here all the way up to our middle finger, right? So we actually want to rotate that spindle. In the past, I had used this part of my hand because it was stronger, easier to get a callus there. That is nice. It takes a little bit longer you can see my calluses here. It does take a little bit longer to grow calluses, and if you really want to get into hand drill, you're going to have to get some calluses here. But this longest part of our hand allows us to get more rotations in with less effort, okay? So, one thing just to practice, and we can be sitting or kneeling, is just to go from middle finger to palm, start here, and go all the way across, middle finger to the edge of the palm. And really just live here. This is your wheelhouse. If you want to get really good at the hand drill, just sit in front of the TV, watch all of my YouTube videos on my channel, and subscribe. And just practice right here. Just do this, back and forth, just for hours and days. So now, the granddaddy of them all, the biggest tip I could give you guys is to learn how to float. All right, so floating, when we normally hand drill without floating, our hands naturally go down, right? Because we're generating down pressure, our hands are going to sink down. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great thing. We want to generate down pressure, our hands are naturally going to move. But what we have to do is when we get down here, we have to reload, and I have to go back, and sometimes my spindle comes out when I'm reloading, okay? So what we can learn is this floating technique, okay? And floating is just a way to keep our hands in one place on the spindle. So I'm still generating down pressure on the spindle, okay, but my hands are going to stay in one spot. So as my hand goes out, I'm actually going to just cock it up a little bit and bring it back. Up and bring it back. Up. So I'm kind of getting this circular, kind of this motion as I'm pushing down. Okay? And you can see I'm kind of bending my fingers back a little bit, like that, kind of flexing them. Okay? For some reason that seems to help. And so what I'm going to do is I can just kind of sit here on top of this spindle, and I can even get my body into it like we just talked about. And I'm really pushing down, but my hands aren't going anywhere. That gives me more time to spin the spindle without having to reload. I can kind of just stay right here, nice and comfortable. Okay? Now, what's the advantage of floating? Well, it gives us the spindle's spinning constantly. We don't need to reload. So it keeps the friction going, keeps it hotter, should allow you to get a coal faster. But the real big advantage of floating is that instead of needing a really long stick, right? When we first start hand drilling, we need long, straight sticks, which are actually kind of hard to find in nature. Instead of needing something like that, as I can focus on something this small, and I can still get a fire with this, with a hand drill. That's the advantage of floating. That's what really makes a difference. If you want to get good at primitive skills, like I said, practice floating, practice hand drill, all right?
Do you smell that?
It's hippie. There's a hippie nearby. How are my nose hairs? Sometimes I get really long nose hairs. They blend in with the mustache, but...
I think I see one.
Which one? On this side?
Yep. Yep.
Got it. Only the best for you YouTube viewers. No one watches my videos for the survival. Only for entertainment.
Feet and nose hair.
Gross.
So putting those three things together, so we have our 90 degrees, we have our long hands, and we have our floating. Putting those together, you start to realize that it's less about how hard we're pushing down and more just about technique and form. But the last thing that I think is most important when teaching beginners with hand drill, tip number 4 is timing, okay? The way I like to think of it is we have 3 gears, okay? So first gear, we're nice and easy. We're just getting this thing warmed up. We're not even trying, really. We're just spinning, okay? Just getting this guy spinning. Oops. Popped out on me. We're just spinning. We're not trying hard. Just getting it moving, okay? And that's just going to warm it up. That's first gear. We do that for about 30 seconds. Second gear, I'm going to kick it up a little bit. Maybe I saw a little bit of smoke. Maybe I saw a little bit of punk starting to form. And I'm going to start pushing down a little bit harder. Maybe I'll go a little bit faster, still using good technique and form. And then finally, when we get heavy smoke, we're going to go really fast and push down really hard. And we're going to do that for another 30 seconds, okay? Pacing is really important. It doesn't help to go really fast right at the start, okay? We want to warm this thing up gradually, okay? Take our time. But as I said, each gear should only be about 30 seconds long. So if you don't have a coal in less than a minute to 2 minutes, you're going way too long, okay? I remember when I was starting, I would go for 4 or 5 minutes. I would just be exhausted. That means our form isn't right. If your form is closer to where it needs to be, you'll get a coal in under a minute. It's quite easy, quite doable, okay? So with those 4 tips, let's see if we can get an easy fire going. All right, so I've given you all the tips that I know as of now. Let's see if I can apply those rules and see if I can make a hand drill fire look easy with the short spindle. So here we go. So like I said, I'm just gonna warm it up at the start. Long hands. Not worried. I already got smoke, so that means I'm already out of first gear, so now I can kick it up to second. So I'm gonna speed up a little bit, still using my long hands. You can tell I'm floating. Gently reloading each time. I'm still not going for speed. Just nice and easy, long pacing. All right, I'm getting heavier smoke. I'm ready to kick it into third gear now. Want to keep my form though. All right. I got a coal. Smoking by itself. You can see I'm not out of breath. That was under a minute. Not out of breath. I took my time. Just good form. Keep floating. Keep the spindle moving. That's the most important. If you have good materials and good form, shouldn't take long. This is a chance to relax and enjoy the smell of the ember you've created, just as all of our ancestors did. There's something sacred about this moment where the smoke comes up. A lot of ancestors, a lot of traditional people say the smoke was the way to connect with our ancestors. There's definitely something sacred to this moment right here. So, all right, let's see if I can turn this into a fire now. Got my cedar bundle. All right, we'll bring it over to our fireplace. Got my birch bark ready once we get flames. There we have it. I am that.
I've created fire.
There you have it, guys. Hand drill, you know, advanced master's level. Once again, this hand drilling, you know, playing with fire with sticks is a way for us to connect to our ancestors. In this day and age, when so many things are dividing us, you know, and it seems like we're all fighting each other and all opposing each other, you know, maybe Primitive Skills is the place where we find common ground, where, you know, no matter where you're from in this world, where your ancestors are from, we all share a common ancestor, and our ancestors did things like making fires from sticks. And so for me, you know, it's a way to find that commonality throughout all humankind, to get back at the core of what it means to be human. Through that, you know, I especially with fire feel connected to my ancestors. Many cultures say that, you know, smoke was a way to communicate with our ancestors, and every time I make smoke, you know, with friction fire, I send out a prayer, I send out a hope, I say hi to my grandpa, you know, there's so many ways and so many things we can tell our ancestors and hopefully gain knowledge from them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave some comments in the section. If you got any questions or concerns about trying to hand drill, let me know. I love helping people out. I love teaching. Also, please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or videos you'd like to see me make, let me know. Put them in the comment section, and we'll get to making them. So until next time, guys, stay wild.